today, as I said in the little live stream thing, today is not just Marathon Day, but it's Ladies' Day, because our female artist this month has released a lot of albums. And we're talking about Kim Wilde. Born Kim Smith, 18th of November 1960. And she is the daughter of 60s singer, producer, writer Marty Wilde. Also a brother, Ricky, he's involved with her, and musically he just worked with her practically all her career. And now she's got, I think, her daughter's performed and a niece, so they've kept it in the file in the family. Marty did it up to a while, but obviously Marty is now in full retirement and just enjoying just listening to the music. So 15 albums, including a new album that came out in January. So it's a big one today, so we're going to crack on. So coming in at number 15 is the 9th album from 1995, and it's called Now and Forever. Now, there's a lot of people that play on these albums. Marty Wilde appears on them, and Ricky Wilde as well. But I won't go through, we'll be here till next week. So the first track on here is a little track called Breaking Away. It's got a drum machine on, which is not good. Yeah. You know, it just sort of ruined it. I mean, Kim sounds great, but this is a little bit poppy. It's not what, you know, she used to go with trends, and this is what was happening in 1995. High on You, very insipid track. I'm not my cup of tea whatsoever. Drum machines, cheesy keyboards. This, I Swear, not a bad song really. It's half decent, that one is. Come On Love Me, same drum machine. I don't know, they just program one drum beat in and they use it for the whole album. It's not very good. True to You, it's not bad. It's one of the better tracks on the album. Hypnotize, it's a song that's more suited to Whitney Houston than Kim. Heaven is a dance thing and it doesn't work. Sweet Inspiration, nah, I don't, nah. Where Do You Go From Here? That sounds like the rest of the album. Hold On, very cheesy as well. You're All I Want to Do, the best out of the worst here. It's quite a catchy little number, that is. Life and Soul, I just couldn't get into this track. Now and Forever, I didn't get into that one either. It's just the same repetitive beat all the way through. Back to Heaven, once again the same sound all the way through. Well, I don't think this is very memorable. It's got one track on here that is half decent. The rest is a bit for me. Doesn't do nothing for me, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 1 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 14 from 1988, the 6th album, Close. We've got Kim Wilde on lead and backing vocals, Ricky Wilde on keyboards and programming and guitars, Tony Swain keyboards, Bias Boshell additional keyboards, Steve Bird on the guitars, and Junior Giscombe and Nicky Sun on backing vocals. Hey Mr. Heartache, it's full on 80s sounding production, smooth, plastic, not very good. You Came, very generic. I mean, all I'll say about some of these albums, Kim's vocals are still strong. She's still singing well. 4 Letter Words, this is quite good, written by her dad and brother. One of the better tracks on here, the lyrics are good. Loving the Natural Way, another, well, it's the Smith family really, isn't it? Everyone sort of joins in, but it's got horrible drums, horrible cheesy keyboards on it. Love Snow, a typical 80s pop ballad. Yeah, Never trust a stranger. Now this is quite good. This has got a little bit of grunt on it. Some bit of guitar on there as well, which is pretty good. You'll be the one I'll lose. It's pretty good, actually. I don't mind that. European Soul, it's just a plastic 80s pop track. Stone, once again, it's just very plastic for me. Lucky Guy. Now, this is written by the one and only Mr. Todd Rundgren. Yeah. Words are good, bad delivery. As I've said, that the vocal delivery from Kim is always spot on, but the production and the sound on it is not to my liking. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 3 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 13, we've got the 7th album, released in 1990, Love Moves. Now, for those of our American friends, you didn't get this released. It was only released over here. So we've got Kim Wilde on vocals, keyboards and programming Ricky Wilde, Tony Swain additional keyboards and programming, Steve Bird plays some guitars, Dion Eustis on the bass, Danny Cummins on percussion, and Richard Niles doing some string arrangements. So first track on here, it's here. It's okay. It's got a little bit of 80s production on it. Love sent him back to me. This style of poppy insipid just doesn't suit Kim Wilde at all. I prefer her with a little bit of grunt. Storms in Her Heart. It's an insipid ballad with a cheesy keyboard but a very good vocal from Kim. World in perfect harmony, typical 90s music, not interested. Someday, pretty good track. Catchy pop song, and there's nothing wrong with that one. Time, it's not brilliant, it's a bit generic. Who's to Blame? Oh dear. Can't Get Enough of Your Love. Don't worry folks, it's not a cover of the classic Bad Company song. It's a bit, yeah, a bit weird. You know, a little bit weird. Remember him from the Farm Show, Paul White. Anyway, In Hollywood, very poppy. But it was for the music of the time. And the last track on this one is called I Can't Say Goodbye. I Can Buy Album. That's how much I thought of it. There's not much between some of these albums, to be quite honest. They're all very 90s, 80s pop. Good vocals, but that's about it. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 4 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 12. From the 4th album from 1984, Teases Dares. Kim Wilde on here. Plays quite a lot of synthesizers on here. Like Ricky Wilde, he plays a bit as well. And bass. Steve Bird's doing some guitars. Gary Twiggs on bass. Chris North on drums. And Andy Duncan on percussion. The Touch. Now, first time I heard it, I thought, oh dear, this is a change. It's she's gone full-blown 80s production. It's not very good. It is over a pretty bleak song. Suburbs of Moscow. The only good thing about it is a really good guitar solo on it. Fitting, not a very good track. Ooh, yes. Rage to Love. I just couldn't believe she changed completely her direction. The best track on here, though, is a thing called The Second Time. It's still old style Kim Wilde. A little bit of drum machine in there, but it's full on old style Kim Wilde, all that early 80s new wavy sound. Pretty good, I like that. Blade Runner, it's okay. You know, this is like that crossover sort of time. Janine, it's got the quirkiness of the original sound that she had, with that new sound coming in. Shangri-La, quite like that. It's still got that new wavy feel to it. And the last track, Thought It Was a Goodbye, pretty naff track. I do remember hearing this when it came out. I thought, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, you have succumbed to the 80s sound. But there are some good tracks on this one, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming at number 11 from 1983, Catch As Catch Can. Third album. On here is Kim Wilde, Ricky Wilde. We've got Mark Hayward Chaplin on the bass, Trevor Morell on electronic drums, and Gary Barnacle on saxes and flute. Houses of the Salomon. Very crossover track. This is the album that it really did start changing. But this is old style Kim Wilde, and I like that. Backstreet Joe. Typical sort of sound of the time. I don't mind it, it's not too bad. Stay a While. This is really going into 80s production. Just like Love Bond, it's really... Dream Sequence. It's still got that new wave sound on it. It's got some pretty good... It's a great vocal from Kim. Dancing in the Dark, written, co-wrote by Paul Gervitz and a certain Nicky Chin. It's pretty good. Shoot to Disable, quite like this one, proper new wavy sound. Can You Hear It? Very poppy for 83, but still a decent track. Sparks, not the best. Sing It Out for Love. Lots of sound, synthesizer keyboards on it. Sound pretty decent. Yeah, changes were coming. There are some good tracks on here, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 5.2. Okay, coming in at number 10, the 12th album from 2011. And it's called Snapshots, and the album features versions of songs handpicked by Kim herself over the last 5 decades. It's a covers album. The first one she does is an East 17 track, It's Alright. I don't like this song at all. I've never liked it, and I never will. Although, I think Kim's vocals are a little bit better. Then we have a Cure track, In Between Days. Love her, the Cure's version of it, but I just don't like hers. About You Now, which is a Sugar Babe song. Again, it's... Ugh. Then she has a go at Tasmin Archer's Sleeping Satellite, and she doesn't do a bad version of it, to be quite honest. And then she really throws a curveball on. She does My Coalfields to France, originally sung by Maggie Riley. Interesting choice. And to be quite honest, it is the best track on the album. She does it justice. Then she does an Erasure song, A Little Respect, very similar to the original. And I think she does a decent job of it. Remember Me, which is Diana Ross, awful. Then she does the Dionne Warwick song, Anyone Who Had a Heart. My favourite version of this is Cilla Black's. And Kim doesn't do a bad job either. Then she does Black's Wonderful Life, and she did a reasonable version of it. Then she has a crack at Kirsty MacColl's They Don't Know, and I think she does a decent job of that as well. Then she does The Beautiful Ones from Suede. Second best track on here, she really does it justice. And then she does the classic Car song, Just What I Needed, and I wish she hadn't bothered. But then she does a Buzzcocks song, Ever Falling in Love, and she does a great version of it. It's gone back to that gritty sort of sound that she was involved with at the time. And then she does Cooks, a duo with Hal Fowler, which is a David Bowie song, of course, and she doesn't do it too bad. Okay, it's a covers album, and like most, there's some good songs and some bad songs. It's reasonable, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.5. Before we go into number 9, it's time for a drink. Okay, coming in at number 9. 8th album from 1992. Love Is. Lots of people playing on here, including her brother, of course. So the first track is called Love Is Holy. Isn't too bad. Catchy tune. It's got some nice guitar on it. And it's a nice vocal from Kim. Who Do You Think You Are? Very poppy, but it has got a good beat to it. You cannot dislike this. I Believe in You. Plastic Pop. Yuck. No thank you. We don't like that one. Touched by Your Magic. Very plastic, generic sounds. It feels very... No real musicians have played on it. I Won't Change the Way That I Feel. I can cope with this one, even though it's generic. It's a little bit more to it. It's not so plastic. It's actually got a decent beat. Million Miles Away. The drum machine is just horrible. It doesn't change beat all the way through. The Light of the Moon Belongs to Me. Now the drum machine on this is a lot better. Someone's actually programmed it properly. And you got Phil Fills on the electric drums. But my favourite track on here is a thing called Heart Over Mind. It's got some guitar on it. Very poppy, but it's still got a lovely guitar sound on it. And Miracles Come In sounds like the previous track with different words. Try Again. Oh, it's got that horrible 80s synthy plastic sound. Sounds absolutely awful. Too Late. A good song to end the album. A great vocal from Kim. Okay, there's one or two decent tracks on here. Sort of changing the sound again time. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.6. Okay, coming in at number 8 is the 5th album from 1986. Another Step. Opens up with the Supremes cover that she did, You Keep Me Hanging On. Great song. And I think it's one of the 80s, mid-80s songs that Kim did that I really liked. She did a great version of it. Brilliant song. Hit Him. A lot of bass on this. Another Step Closer to You. I do like the guitars on this. The production's a bit very 80s, of course, but it's got some really nice guitar on it. Steve Bird is doing the guitars on that, I know that. The thrill of it, it's alright. I've got So Much Love. Nice guitar on it again, nothing wrong with that one. We've got Victim. The drumming's on this, it's very catchy. Then we got School Girl, which is awful. Full on 80s rubbish. Say You Really Want Me. Same again. Very 80s, horrible 80s sound. She Hasn't Got Time for Me. Plastic. Not very good. Brothers. It just seems that there's someone struggling here for ideas because they all sound the same. Missing. They just seem all to roll into each other. There's no individuality. How Do You Want Your Love? God. It's getting worse. Just like the last track, Don't Say Nothing's Changed. Yes, that's quite an ironic title because nothing's changed in the last 3 or 4 tracks. They all sound the same. The album started really strong and then it just went downhill on each track. But for the tracks that are strong, I do like. And so I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7, we got the 10th album from 2006. And it was a comeback album. But after being away from the music business because she became a landscaper for a little while. So this is her first album in 11 years. It's called Never Say Never. First track on here is called Perfect Girl. Beefy guitars. I like this. Solid bass line. Excellent. Then she does another version of her song You Came, which is a lot better. It's got proper drums on it. There's no synthy 80s rubbish. The guitars are on it, and it just proves it is actually a pretty good song. Together We Belong, not a bad track, great bass line and some brilliant drumming on that. Another fine vocal from Kim. Forgive Me, we've slipped back into the dance sound. Four Letter Word, again it's an old track from Close, but this is a better version. It's more got some more soul in it, it's got some depth in it, it's really good. It's not a bad song at all. Then they do another version of You Keep Me Hanging On. No, don't like this. Her version that she did in the 80s is far better. They tried to they jazzed up the drummy bit and it just didn't work. Baby Obey Me, it's got a bit of a reggae beat. Then they do Kids in America. Again, they just change the beat of it. Why? Why mend something that isn't broke? It featured Charlotte Hatherley on vocals. Awful. Then we have a track called I Fly, which is a great rocker. It's the best track on here. Really gritty stuff. Like that one. Game Over. Second favourite track on. Once again, it's got that real connection with the early Kim Wilde stuff. Lost Without You. Nice arrangement. View from a Bridge, a re-recording. It isn't too bad actually. I don't mind it. It's not as good as the original. Maybe I'm Crazy. Back to the dance stuff. And then they go and ruin one of my all-time favourite songs by Kim Wilde, Cambodia. The Paul Oakenfold mix. Absolute nonsense. Horrible dance beat to it. Didn't need it. Some of the tracks on this album are pretty good. They're rock, but why did we have to go and dance up the old hits? No point. But for the original tracks, they are very, very good. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.3. Okay, coming in at number 6, we've got the 13th album, and it was her first Christmas album, released in November of 2013. It's called Wild Winter Songbook. Some duos on here. The first one she does is a duo with Rick Astley on Winter Wonderland. It's a really good duo, nice song. Then there's an original song called Hope, a really nice vocal, very simple arrangement, beautifully sang by Kim. Then there's other one of her own, One, piano, strings, Kim, beautiful. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Now this is a jazzy sort of speakeasy bar version. I really like it. It really works. An excellent version of that. Winter Song, really nice vocals on that. Another good song. New Life, I love the guitar work on it, and it's a fabulous vocal from Kim. Winter Hymn, White Winter Hymnal, featuring Marty Wilde, so it's a really nice song from father and daughter. Really good. Burnt Gold Silent Night, featuring Hal Fowler, a beautiful vocal by them both. They've done a really interesting version of that. Song for Beryl, lovely harmony singing on that. But my favourite Christmassy song on here is Let It Snow. She does a fantastic version of it. Then she does Hey Mr. Snowman, pretty good version of that. Now she does a version of Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. She did it originally with comedian Mel Smith, but she does this with Nick Kershaw. Out of the two, give me Mel's version, because it was so funny. This is a really good winter sort of Christmassy album. Got some really nice traditional songs. The new songs are pretty solid as well. It's a really good album, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 5, we've got the 11th album from 2010, Come Out and Play. Lots of people on here. So the first track on here is called King of the World. I like this. I love the keyboard in it. It's really it's very similar to the early days. Great vocal from Kim. Lights Down Low. The guitar riff is excellent on this. Another good vocal from Kim. Real Life, one of the weakest tracks on here. It's, yeah, not very good. Then The Greatest Journey. Now she does this, a duo with Glenn Gregory, him of Heaven 17 Found. And it's pretty good. Yeah, great. I mean, Glenn was a great singer with Heaven 17. That deep vocal really works with Kim. I want what I want. Yeah, one of the weaker tracks on here. Nice vocal though. Love Conquers All, filmed with Mr. Nick Kershaw. Very good again. Singing with some of her people that she worked with and was rivals with in the 80s, but they've really worked well on that one. Hey You. Like this track, it's my favourite. Quirky, nice riffs, great vocal. Suicide, another solid song. Nice to see the guitars back in. This Paranoia, it's really got that new wave feel to it. It's excellent. The keyboard is really good as well, and the guitar riff excellent. Loving More, it's an acoustic song at the beginning. It's not too bad. Get Out. Now this certainly goes back to them early days. It's really good. Great little track. My Wish Is Your Command, another good track. Now this is written by her niece and her brother, Scarlett Wilde. Very good. Then we got Jessica, the last song. Very simple piano song. Lovely track to end the album. This is more like it. This is going back to the old days. I'd never heard this album, but I'm really impressed with it. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, coming in at number 4, we got the 14th album from 2018. Here Come the Aliens. Kim Wilde on vocals, Ricky Wilde on production, Neil Jones keyboards, Neil Jones guitar, Paul Cooper bass, Jonathan Atkins drums, and Scarlett Wilde backing vocals, and she designed this album cover. First track is called 1969. Great catchy riffs on this. Kim Wilde's vocals are brilliant. Still got the power. Pop Don't Stop. Pretty solid track. Written by Kim, Scarlett and Ricky. Excellent track. Candy Crush. Very old style Kim Wilde. Brilliant track. Quirky keyboards. Great vocal. Nice little guitar bits on it as well. Stereo Shop. Super track. Lovely catchy little tune. Yours Till the End. It's got a bit of a dance thing to it, but it has got a real good bass line to it. Solstice is a bit wishy-washy. Not a favourite of mine. Addicted to You. Now this is written by a daughter. And a brother. I don't mind this, pretty good. Then we have Birthday. Really good track. My favourite. It's got that post-punk new wave feel to it. Cyber Nation War. Gone back to the old days. Just classic sounding Kim Wilde. A Different Story. The guitar work on this is great. Great vocals again from Kim. Then we have my second favourite track on here, Rock the Paradiso. The riffs, the vocal, the keyboard, the quirkiness. Excellent track. Rosetta. The last track, it's certainly got that last track on the album feel to it. It's probably the weakest one on the album. I thought this is a really great album. She's gone back to her roots. It's got some terrific tracks on here, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.8. Okay then, coming in at number 3 is the most current album, 15th, and it came out on January 2025, and it's called Closer. On here are Kim Wilde on lead vocals, Jonathan Atkinson on drums, Paul Cooper's the bass, Cliff Masterton does the strings, Ricky Wilde does guitars, and backing vocals her niece Scarlett. First track is my favourite track, and it's the first track I heard when they put it out. So this is a new track, and it's called Midnight Train. Goes back to the old days. It's got that riffs, it's got the quirky keyboard, and Kim sounds great on it. Fantastic. Scorpio. Could have come off them first two albums. Brilliant track. It's just a modern day version of the old stuff. Fantastic vocals, fantastic performance. Trail of Destruction. That classic sounding new wave poppy sound from Kim. Very, very good. Sorrow Replaced featuring Midjour as well. My second favourite track on here. Two great singers from the early 80s doing a brilliant song together. Brilliant track. I do like it. Lighthouse. Solid track again. A fine vocal from Kim on that. Love is Love. Bit dancey for me. It's alright. Rocket to the Moon. Very catchy. New wave track. Really good. Then Hourglass Human both singing featuring her niece. Very well sang. They both sound really good together on that one. Stones and Bones, solid classic sounding Kim here. Savannah, very atmospheric, a very good vocal from Kim on that last track. I was very surprised. I think this is her best album in years. It's gone back to the old style. It's powerful. I think she's come back to what she was known for, and I think this is a terrific album. And I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Don't be surprised if this is in the mix for the end of the year review, because it is a super album. Okay then, I've got 2 albums left. Just got to decide which one do you think is going to be my number 1. So number 2 is the second album from 1982, and it's Select. Lots of people playing on in here. So the first track, Ego, and it's probably one of the worst tracks on the album. I just never got into this track at all, unfortunately. Words Fell Down. I like this. Quirky, nice riffs, solid track. Action City. This is great. It's got that unique sound from that period, and if you want to really appreciate that, you had to be there at the time. Great vocal from Kim. Then we have a great track that she did, View from a Bridge. I like this. It's a bit different, but I do like that track a lot. Just a Feeling's got one of the best guitar solos ever. Excellent track. Chaos at the Airport. Very steady, excellent sounding track. Take Me Tonight. Great track. Classic Kim Wilde track. The quirkiness, the little riffs, and the nice keyboard sound. Can You Come Over? This is very Blondie. You know, Kim and Debbie, very similar sort of sound at times, and I like that. Brilliant track. Wendy Sad, one of my favourite tracks on this album. Okay, but my favourite track on this album is Cambodia. It's one of my favourite songs by Kim, and it's the longer version on here. And it's got reprise as well. It's just absolutely stunning track. Love it to bits. Unfortunately, I think this was her last good album for a very long time. She started to change direction after this. There was little sort of glimpses of it on this album, but this is a fantastic album. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. But my number 1 album is the debut album, basically called Kim Wilde. Now, there's something on this that the actual music is actually recorded by members of the Enid, and a lot of it was done here in Northampton at the Roberts Lodge Studios. So you got Kim Wilde on lead and backing vocals, and the Enid at the time were Robert Godfrey on the keyboard, Stephen Stewart on guitars, Francis Licorice on guitars, Martin Russell on the bass, Chris North on the drums. But you've got Ricky Wilde on here as well. Miffy Smith, James Stevenson, Alan Crowley, Trevor Murrell and Jake Solo, Gary Barnacle. And Luke Turney doing trumpets and things like that. The first track on here is a great track. I love this track, Water on Glass. It's a great bass line. Fantastic track. Up next is Our Town. There's something about this track. It just, it's hard to believe that some of this is done by members of the Enid. Brilliant track. Everything We Know. Love the keyboards on this. Some great guitar solo on here. Love that track. Young Heroes. What a bass line. And the riffs are trip. Then we get my second favourite track on here. Kids in America. This is the first track I ever heard when I was in hospital. As well. I love the song. Just love it, but it's not my favourite. My favourite's Checkered Love on side 2. Amazing. I love the video to this. But it's just very uplifting. I love that quirky keyboard on it. Then there's a track called 26580. This is what I call Kim Wilde Does Ska. It's very good. You Never Be Strong. As I've said before, Kim Wilde was trying to be like the British version of Debbie Harry on this. I think this is an excellent track. Falling Out, a really good track. It's got one of the quirkiest keyboards that sort of goes in the middle. There's a little bit of sax on there. Tuning In, Tuning On. Another of my favourites off this. I love the bass line. That the synth is really good. It's that unique synth sound of the time. Great vocal from Kim. Last track. You see, I always thought that Kim Wilde peaked far too early. The debut album was the best album. I never think she really captured that sound. I don't know if it's because it's got the Enid involved. I don't know, but I don't think she ever captured the sound that she did. She came close to it, but this is just a great album of the 80s. Some great pop tunes. I mean, the singles are always great. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, there we go. A bit of Kim Wilde for Ladies' Day. Nothing else today, though. I've got this to do. I've got 1 or 2 bits to do. Still raining. And we'll be back tomorrow where we've got another quarterfinal. It's quarterfinal 2, and this is between, I would say, the dark horse of this competition, Gladys Knight and the Pips and Midnight Train to Georgia, up against the Who's Substitute. And to pick a mix tomorrow is In the Camera's View. Now, at the moment, there's all this controversy about, are Black Sabbath playing? Is Ozzy going up on stage? So tomorrow we're going to do a Black Sabbath video. Now it's some for cross purposes when Tony Martin was the singer, and it also features Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler. It's a fantastic concert. A lot of people poo-poo it because it's not, they don't consider it real Black Sabbath, but the playing on it is excellent. So that's what's coming tomorrow. So have a good day. And there's 2 or 3 people walking with their brollies already. It's, oh dear, not good. Rocky won't want to go out. So have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.